What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Neeks Sports. And yes, it has been a mad week in transfer land. Transfer rumors, transfer news, some confirmed, some off. It's all mad. It's all mad. And this is the middle of the Euros. We're supposed to be enjoying a bit of the off season, a bit of international football. And what happens? A couple of days without football and everything goes crazy. We're going to get into it. We are going to get into it. I've got Ziad backstage. I think it's a Chelsea fan. So obviously we're going to be talking about Chelsea, Hakimi, Haaland, those deals on, off, whatever you want to, whichever way they may stand at the moment. We're going to talk Ben White to Arsenal, whether that's a good deal or not at 50 million. And of course, without a shadow of a doubt, before that, we've got to talk Grealish and Kane to Man City. Pep Guardiola looking to do a madness this season. I mean, how much stronger do they really need to get? And then we're going to talk the possibility of Rafael Varane joining Manchester United. And of course, the deal that looks as close as ever, as it's been reported by pretty much every journalist, every not a source, agent, whatever you want to call them, football commentator, they're all saying that the deal is as close as it has ever been. And I'm talking about Jayden Sancho to Manchester United, a deal that should have happened about a year ago. A player that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been looking at for at least 2 years, a player that Manchester United have been looking at ever since he left Manchester City in 2017. And finally, it looks like they're going to land their man. I'm going to bring in Ziad now. And as he is a Chelsea fan, we're going to start with the Hakimi news. And we're going to talk about Haaland. But starting with the Hakimi news. So as Adrian says in the comments, Romano has recently tweeted about Hakimi. First and foremost, how you doing, Ziad?
I'm all right, Neeks. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Very, very clear. Very clear.
Thank you.
So a tweet's come out from Act2Foot. It's quoting Fabrizio Romano, and he's actually retweeted it. It says Hakimi is clear he wants to sign for PSG. Once PSG's official improved offer of around 70 million euros is sent, the agreement will be signed and finalized. First and foremost, let's take it through the timeline. So obviously, when you first heard the news of Hakimi possibly joining Chelsea, were you excited about that deal, or did you think it's a deal that you didn't, a player that you didn't need to actually go for, a position you didn't need filling? And just to do a conversion rate, 70 million euros is 60 million pounds. So yeah, how did you first feel when you heard that Chelsea were linked to Hakimi?
Yeah, at first I was a bit confused because my main target this season is to get a striker, and of course it's Chelsea's main targets are Kane, Lukaku, Haaland, sorry. And then when I saw Hakimi, I was like, what, are we diverting our attention? Are we, But then I sat down and I thought about it. Is it a priority signing? No. Is he a world-class player? Yes. Is he young? Yes. So then I'm like, hold on. We've seen Reece James play right centre-back this season. Our formation allows 3 centre-backs with 2 wing-backs. So he's easy to slot in. We have an agent, Azpilicueta, who, for me this season, the amount of games he's played is incredible. So he's probably gonna fall down a bit next season. So I said, yeah, 100%. But then I saw his wife wants to move to Paris because of her career. It's better for her career options. But then I saw Hakimi's agreed to join Chelsea.
Yeah.
But he's on the edge of the boat because of his wife. So I'm like, hold on a second. Do you want to join Chelsea or not?
Yeah.
Because quite frankly, I don't know how the board see it, but from a Chelsea perspective, we don't have time to waste. All right. Yes, it's the Euros. Yes, we've got time to deal with business, but we are going after a player in Haaland, which will not it's not easy to get. Dortmund don't want to sell. A lot of stuff is behind that, so we don't have time to waste.
Yeah.
And then we see, all right, we didn't even put a bid in. I'm like, wait. So you're telling me, oh no, because Neeks, because I'm quite annoyed. This throughout the next couple months where it is for the transfer window, I'm not believing anything, because other than Fabrizio, we've seen a lot of reliable sources that have said we've put a bid in. So I'm gonna believe those reliable sources, because we can't only trust Fabrizio. And then the most reliable one comes out and said Chelsea didn't even put a bid in. So I'm like,
yeah, because what I heard was that they just spoke to kind of representatives and intermediaries to kind of assess what kind of bid we accept. I think Chelsea were willing to offer Alonso, and I think there was another player.
Emerson Zappacosta.
Yeah, correct. Emerson and Zappacosta. They were willing to offer them, and PSG were willing to pay the money up front. So Fabrizio's reporting 70 million euros, which is 60 million pounds. Of course, that's about £8 million higher than the record for a fullback, which is Benjamin Mendy at £52 million. Would you say him not being a priority signing is 60 million too much for you lot to spend on a right wing back, or a wing back, because you can play on the left as well?
110%, and I don't see it in terms of only not being a priority signing. It's in terms of we might not stick to this 5 at the back, and then if we do divert to a 4 at the back, which it's a very high chance of it, what happens then? Are we taking out Reece James? Are we taking out Kimi? Of course, it's always good to have a competition, but not when you've got not if Reece James started, you got 60 million on the bench.
Exactly.
Especially if the wages that it looks like PSG are paying him. I'm looking back at it now. I'm actually happy we didn't do this sale. The only thing that's because what is getting 200 to 300k a week and 60 million pounds. No, thank you. But the only thing that I'm annoyed about is that we spent all this time inquiring, but knowing that we weren't going to pay the 60 million bid. We only wanted to offer players on a lower fee. But then also that all those reliable sources other than Fabrizio have pretty much lied to us. So who are we supposed to believe now? For the rest of the window with this Haaland, are they just trying to sell clicks and get exposure? But what? So we're only going to rely on Fabrizio? So that's what it's got me annoyed, because it's still a lot of gone. Yeah.
There's a question from Adrian in the chat, and I hear what you're saying. I think 60 million for me is a lot for someone who, I mean, if you buy him for 60 million, you have to stick to a formation that suits him, because you can't then go to a back 4 and play him. I mean, yes, you could play him at right back, but it's clearly not his best position. He has his defensive frailties. Will he be exposed in the Premier League as a right back? Which then, as I said, it forces you to play maybe stick to a 3 at the back. And of course, you could go with Reece James at right centre back, which he's done at the back end of the season, or you could move Hakimi to the left wing back, because he has played there as well. It will give you options in that one formation, but it doesn't really allow you to be flexible in formations if you're going to get the best out of him. But Adrian says, who is an alternative to Hakimi? So do you think Chelsea are going to go back in for a fullback, or was it a case of, well, we don't need a fullback, but a world-class one has come on the market, let's try and get him? Or you think they're going to kind of put that to one side and focus on the other priority areas, namely a striker?
I do think we will go in for another right wing back, just for the fact of it's come out that Tuchel likes Adama Traore. He wants Adama Traore. He's told the club he wants Adama Traore. Thomas Tuchel did not tell the Chelsea board that he wants Hakimi. That was Hakimi is a player that Chelsea have been looking at for many years now. So that was clearly a board signing. Another reason I'm happy that Hakimi didn't go through. But yeah, I do think we'll go in for Adama Traore, and for many, many reasons. 97% of the fan base that I've seen, Chelsea fan base, has been negative for Adama Traore, which I don't understand. He's the type of player there isn't a lot of Adama Traores out there. But
he'll definitely be a squad player, wouldn't he?
100%, he could be, but that's the thing. He's a squad player. You're right, because there's also news that Thomas Tuchel wants to bring him off the bench when legs are tired and against opposition. Which it's not only that. Even if he was to start and we was to bring him right wing back and Reece James right centre back, there's so much he can offer. Taking on players, dragging players, sucking in players, which only allows more room for the creative players to. And when you've got him, it creates more fluidity around the attack, which allows more goals and open in the opposition's defense. So I'm 100% down for him, but we just have to make sure we sign a striker. Otherwise, I don't know what to tell you, Neeks. It's going to be a difficult situation. But I definitely think there'll be an alternative and in Adama Traore.
Okay. Well, we'll get onto the striker bit in a bit. I want to talk about Arsenal quickly. Obviously, Arsenal are looking like they're going to. Make sure you lot smash the like button as well. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've dropped the link in the chat if anyone wants to come and join as well. Obviously, Arsenal, they've re-signed Kieran Tierney today on a long-term deal, 5-year contract. Obviously, that's a good piece of business because 25 million. When I think about it, how did everyone allow Arsenal to just get such a good defender, got such a good left back for so cheap, and nobody challenged? It's a strange one, but well done to Arsenal for getting him, signing him to a longer contract. They've also obviously they lost out on Buendia to Aston Villa, and now they're trying to sign Emil Smith-Rowe to a longer-term deal because Villa are in for him. And we're going to get onto maybe the Villa aspect of it in a bit when we talk about Grealish. But in terms of Arsenal, obviously missing out on those players, they're now looking at Ben White. Obviously, it's a different position, but looking at Ben White of Brighton. 50 million is the apparent fee. I'm going to bring in Josh here as well. Welcome to the channel. But I'm going to go to Ziad first. In terms of 50 million for Ben White to Arsenal, is that a good piece of business?
I wouldn't call it a good piece of business in terms of 50 million is a lot of money. Granted, he's a young English centre-back. I understand that. But he was on Liverpool's radar. Leeds wanted him. But what I feel like Liverpool have already signed their defender. So I don't think they will come back in for him. And for a player's perspective, Arsenal's a very good move and a very understandable move for him. So that's a positive for Arsenal in doing the deal. I definitely think they're overpaid, but at the same time, you got to think about it. It's just the market these days. He's young, he's English, he's played in the Premier League, he's played in the Championship, and that is a high level in itself. So I wouldn't call it a good piece of deal, but it's just I said it a couple of days ago. If they sign Ben White at the expense of others, poor, absolutely poor. But if they signed him for 50 million, well knowing that they can afford the other targets, they will be able to get the other main targets, the priority targets, then why not? It's just a market these days, and just as long as they don't sacrifice the main targets, because then that's when Arsenal fans will completely flip.
Josh, obviously you're a Chelsea fan, so no love lost when it comes to Arsenal. 40 Agenda says Ben White better be a VVD regen because no English centre-back is worth 50 million. I disagree with that. I think Maguire's worth 50, definitely not worth 80, but he's worth 50. And Shane Malone says he's not worth 50 million, 25 at most, just because he's English and plays for Brighton. Good piece of business for Arsenal, or overpriced, should look somewhere else, or
what? There's definitely better targets than him, better players than him. Like they were looking at Tapsoba. I watch a lot of Leverkusen, and I think he's a quality defender, and he could definitely go to Arsenal. He's better than Ben White, but I mean, what they're buying in Ben White, and a lot of people say this nowadays, is that a lot of teams buy players for potential, and I think that's what Ben White is. I've seen him a couple times at Brighton, and I know it's kind of sad nowadays with defenders, but the first thing you kind of look at nowadays is their technical ability. which is kind of sad and it's not
It,
right.
it
But
really is sad. I was having that same
yeah,
with Ramsey the other day, obviously the other presenter on the channel, and I kind of asked like, I don't know, I can't remember the question I asked him, but the first response was it was to do with Saliba, basically why are they buying Ben White and they've got Saliba, and the response was Saliba's not very good on the ball, or maybe he's not as good on the ball. And I was like, how come the first thing when we talk about defenders is how good they're on the ball, as opposed to how good are they at defending?
it's true. It's true. I guess that's just the modern era nowadays. It's not right, but I guess that's how it is. But what I was saying with him, because I watched him against Man City one time, and he was playing in midfield, and he looked like a proper midfield. Like his technical ability was actually pretty impressive. So, and obviously they're losing Louise now, so they probably want a player in that mold who's very technically good on the ball. 50 million
Yeah, I mean,
overpriced, but we'll see. We'll see if it comes good.
See, this is the thing with me. I think that they're doing the centre back because they're losing. Well, they obviously lost David Luiz. Even if Saliba was to come in this year, we have no idea how he's going to perform. He's a young centre back. It'll be a new country, new league, new team. Like just everything is a lot. So we have no idea he's going to perform. He could do a Fofana and have a brilliant first season, but we don't know. They've got Mavropanos. They've got Rob Holding. Who's there? Actually, did Mavropanos leave that? I think he might have left, actually.
Apparently, they're planning to sell him, I'm hearing.
Yeah, I did hear that. They've got Pablo Mari. They've got a lot of different... Gabriel, of course. Maybe they're looking for someone like, at least he's Premier League proven in the respect that he knows how to deal in the Premier League. It's not going to be an adaptation to a new league, physicality, etc. He's 23 years old. He can develop into a better centre back. You've also obviously got the English or the homegrown aspect that you need to fill the quota in your squad. But what would determine for me whether it's a good deal or not is how much they spend from here on in for the rest of the window. If 50 million is 50% of their budget, then for me it's a bad signing, because while they do need a centre back is not their priority. They need attacking midfield, they need central midfield, they need a right back. This is all what Arsenal fans tell me. And then they need a centre back. But if 50 million is maybe 25, 30% of their transfer budget, and they've got like another 100, 120 million to spend, then fair enough, go and spend it. Because I would look at it, if Man City or a Chelsea went and bought Ben White for 50 million, everyone might not say, it's a good signing, but you're not going to think, that's the rest of our transfer budget. Now we can't afford Haaland. You'll be like, okay, we bought him, and we're still going to go out and get the other players that we want, because you know how your owners are, you know how your board is. With Arsenal fans, they just don't know. They spent 50 million, how much is actually left? And I think that's the biggest thing for Arsenal at this point. As far as his quality goes, I think he's a good defender from what I've seen. I haven't watched much of it, I'm not going to lie. I don't watch Brighton that much. 2 games against Man United, 2 against Chelsea, a couple of the big 6 games, and that's about it. I don't watch him on a regular, but I think he's a good centre-back. Obviously, said he's good on the ball, definitely. And I would say he's probably 30 million, about that. But obviously, you add the English tax, maybe raises to 40. I think 50 million is still a lot. But I guess, in the context of the rest of the transfer window, we'll have to see. 4-year agenda says Konate costs 36, Ben White for 50. Yeah, release clause. We don't have really release clause over in England. Konate is definitely worth more than 36. So that's a good piece of business for Liverpool. Big up Ryan. Big up yourself. Make sure you hit the like button. Question from Ryan: How good will Ben White be away from the Graham Potter system? Well, they like to play out from the back, and I'm not saying they play the exact same system as Arsenal, but I think the qualities that he's shown at Brighton, I think he can replicate that at Arsenal, because of the way that Brighton already plays. Not like he's moving from Burnley to Arsenal, where it's like completely different. I think the fact that he was at Brighton helps the fact that he's joining a team who also like to pass the ball out from the back. Let's move on. We're going to bring it back to Chelsea in a second. I want to talk Man City. So, Man City, we know that they're putting £100 million bid for Kane a few days ago. And then we heard today that, there was contrary reports. The first reports came from Jim White saying Man City are close to £100 million deal for Jack Grealish. Then later reports came out from David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano and others basically saying, well, there's actually been no contact between the two clubs, but 100 million basically has been told to Man City as this is the price it's going to cost to get him. So Man City probably contacted his representatives and asked them, what do we need to do to get you? Looking at Jack Grealish and Harry Kane, if Man City, I'll come to Ziad first, if Man City were to land both of those players, what does that mean for the rest of the league?
It's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Everyone should pack up. I don't think they're even competing. No, but in all seriousness, I think it's still gonna be very, very hard to get it done. There's a lot of players that City is a very stacked squad, and in terms of Kane, they're gonna have to really, really see any player really wanting to join Tottenham. So that's where City are gonna struggle in offering certain players. So they're gonna really have to pay up or not, because realistically, Levy doesn't want to sell. He said he doesn't want to sell, although his own words were, "We need to do what's best for the club." And look, mate, what's best for the club is for you to take the money and run and rebuild around this team, because right now you don't even have a manager and you've got a bang average squad. Sell your most wanted player and get and rebuild the team. But if City get both the signings, which I don't think they will, because of how hard it is to get rid of the other players, they have to win. They have to win the Champions League.
They have 100%.
They have to.
If they get both of them, they have to win the league and Champions League
in one season. No, there's no questions. Champions 100%. League, Premier League, same season. Because you've got a world-class team, a world-class manager. I'm sorry, if Pep bottles the Champions League again, get him out, get Zidane in. It's because it's the mindset of, look, mate, we've got this team. We can't fumble the bag again. We got to make use of what we have, and that is an insane team, the best team in the world, and we can't afford to not win a Champions League with it. It's like back with Arsenal when they had that ridiculous team, yet they didn't win the Champions League. It's kind of that, because they have to win, man. I don't the pressure that's going to be on Pep, and we know he doesn't really deal with pressure in recent years, but yeah, man, if they sign both, it's gonna be really. I feel like it's gonna be either it goes mediocre or down, or it goes how everyone thought. And wow, yeah, they win the Champions League, they win the Premier. Maybe not in one season, that might be too much, but they win the Champions League. They're top two in the Premier League.
Listen, the way I see it, they've won three out of the last 4 Premier Leagues. Last season, they won the Premier League without a striker and got to the Champions League final. Of course, they lost to Chelsea in the final. But obviously, everyone's going to be doing their own business. So there's that to compete against. But if you take a Premier League and Champions League runner-up and add Harry Kane and Grealish to it, Josh, surely they have to go and win both of them the next year.
Is my thing bugging?
Go. I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Are you still there?
Yeah. I was saying.
Sorry.
If you take a Premier League winner, three in the last 4 years, and a Champions League runner-up, and you add Harry Kane and Grealish to it, surely that next season they have to go and win the Premier League and Champions League.
Bro, the Premier League don't matter. It's just Champions League. Let's be real, man. You've won it, how many times? 3 in the last 5 years? That shit don't matter. It's just the Champions League that matters. That's all that matters. Let's be real. And that's all that he wants, really. You can tell by when he gets interviewed, the Champions League is his burning desire. So, obviously, to win the league to really stamp their authority. But, the Champions League is all that matters. That's what That's what City are looking for to elevate them to the next level of being a truly elite team, an elite club, you know. So yeah, they should look for the Prem as well, but nah, number one is Champions League, definitely for me.
Yeah, of course. For me, if they win the Champions League, it's job done. But it's just for me, I'm looking at obviously they might go and create a dynasty and win the next, 3 Premier Leagues in a row, whatever. But when you're comparing to the best sides, whether it be in the Premier League of history, in European history, those best sides won League and Champions League in the same season. Some even won the treble. Obviously, Man United, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. They won all 3 major trophies in the one season. So, of course, it's going to be difficult to win that. But that's how you stamp your authority. And you got Pep Guardiola. If he then does that, that's another kind of box tick to say, well, is he the greatest manager of all time? I think those things are important. Real Madrid, they didn't win the treble, but they won the league and the Champions League in the same season in the midst of their 3 in a row. So I think, the Champions League is the most important at this stage for Man City. But I think winning the Premier League and Champions League in one season, I think if they were to get those 2 players, it's a must. It's that because if you win the Champions League with that squad, what's the excuse for not winning the Premier League?
I wouldn't be surprised,
Say that again.
I wouldn't be surprised because the Champions League they've got to the final this season, and it's not like they got an easy run. They reversed the PSGs, and then they came to the final in Chelsea. But with the Premier League, it may be a bit different because I thought the season that just passed was a bit of a bad Premier League. Like how in God's name do United finish second? It was a bad league. So if
second best team in the country, mate, second best team in the country.
Oh, come on.
I mean, I don't make the rules. I read the table. I don't make the rules.
If the circumstance will still be the same, which I don't think it will, United signing, Chelsea should sign, City gonna boost as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they do win the Premier League and Champions League, just based off what I've seen this season. But man, it will be ridiculous.
The comment here from Keena, I'm not sure. The question is, what are your thoughts on Man City letting Sterling go if Kane or Grealish join? So I'm hearing Sterling could go, Bernardo Silva could go. Would that be if they were to let both of them go to get Sterling and Grealish? I mean, Kane and Grealish in. Is the team as formidable? Is it still good enough to go and win those both, or do you think they need to keep the rest of their big players? Obviously, Aguero's going. I don't know what's happening with Jesus. I know there's talk about Spurs possibly getting him. There was a comment earlier about possibly Martial going to Spurs. Obviously, they're going to be looking for a replacement if Kane does leave. Is Sterling's time up at City? Bernardo Silva, what are you lot saying?
I don't know where Sterling will go, though. That's the thing. Obviously, I'm not saying people wouldn't want Sterling. It's just, obviously, we're still in a pandemic. Like, teams like a Real Madrid or a Juve, which I could see Sterling going to, I don't think they would have the money to buy him. So, but I do agree with what Pep's doing, or if it is true, if he wants to get rid of like Bernardo, Sterling, Jesus, because we've seen in history, teams usually have a 3-4 year peak where they're hitting everything at 4 cylinders, and then eventually you got to rebuild. City can't have the same players for too long. Eventually, you have to refresh, and I feel like getting rid of your players like Bernardo's, Sterling's, obviously Aguero's gone. It might be what City need to almost stay afresh, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like their squad, if anything, it may be better, because if you're getting rid of Bernardo Silva and Sterling, let's just say they keep them and then Grealish and Kane come in. Bernardo Silva and Sterling don't get a sniff in that team anymore. Because let's not forget, they still got Foden. They want to. Yeah. I'm sure they're going to want to give him more game time. They still have Ferran Torres to come in,
and
so Mahrez. So even if they were to get rid of those 2 players and bring in those Grealish and Kane, their team is still the best in the world by far, and I don't see it's not on a disadvantage whatsoever.
I heard that.
You United fans, the way you love to stand your players, bro. Sir Alex, Cristiano.
Oh, Sir Alex is the greatest manager of all time. But I don't say Cristiano Ronaldo's the greatest player of all time. For me, I still say Zidane. I still say Zidane. But
Greatest manager of all time, Zidane.
No.
Oh,
Ferguson's the greatest manager of all time. I say player for me, Zidane.
oh, player.
I'm talking about it. That's in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Maradona, Pele. For me, they're on another level, and I don't even talk about them in that way because I weren't there. I didn't see them play. I was alive when Maradona played, but I was like 3 years old after he did the drugs banned in 94. Yeah, 94 World Cup. So I didn't watch him. Zidane for me is the greatest. But and this is Footy Agenda says he's a Liverpool fan. So
Alex, okay.
So that's Man City. Before we go on to Manchester United, the big team, we go back to Chelsea. Now, obviously, if Man City do that madness, go and get Kane, go and get Grealish, surely Chelsea have to respond. They can't go into next season with Werner as the main striker and Tammy as the backup and Giroud as the third choice. Haaland, 150 million. I mean, I'm not even going to ask you if you will do the deal because the answer is obviously yes. But will Chelsea do that deal this summer, especially if Man City go and sign Kane? Ziad.
To be honest, we have no choice. Honestly, have no choice because because right now, City and Chelsea, I feel like are the two teams that are maybe for next season in the Premier League the favourites to win it.
Don't sleep on Liverpool. No,
of course, Liverpool as well. But I feel like the closest team to City in terms of Premier League is Chelsea. And if we allow them to sign a Kane and a Grealish, we have no choice. We have to sign a Lukaku or Haaland. There's no lower than that. If it's not Haaland and it's not Lukaku, and we've well allowed to sign those two players, it's an L window. Listen, if Chelsea want one of those players, we can get them. Because as much as Lukaku wants to say he's happy, he's not leaving, he's spoken to Inzaghi. Listen,
yeah.
I'm sure we all know you don't go from Conte to Inzaghi and still be happy. Right? it's all PR talk, and I don't blame him whatsoever because it's the Euros. He's not gonna say, I might leave and then go play in the Euros. It's not a smart move. So talks about Inter Milan.
I agree with you. Put the money on the table. If you put that money on the table to Inter, Lukaku will say, "Listen, guys, I know it's okay over here in Italy, but I think Lukaku has something to prove in the Premier League. Like I'm not saying it's his fault per se. He scored 100 goals with Everton and West Brom. What did he win? Absolutely nothing. He went to Man United, and the perception of him within the Premier League after the Man United stint was very, very negative. So he may not even think he's a very confident guy, and that's why he's like, look, that's why he moved so much in his career because he's confident in his own ability, and all credit to him. But I think if the opportunity comes where he can, without a shadow of a doubt, put all his haters to bed by coming to Chelsea, coming back to Chelsea, because obviously he got let go in kind of moved on the first time, scored goals, maybe win a Premier League. I mean, that's it. No one can say anything. Right now, people can still say, Serie A, Farmers League, rubbish league. That's why he's doing it. But when he was in the Premier League, if he comes back to Chelsea, it's a wrap. No one can say anything.
Also, if from Lukaku's perspective, I mean, he would be I hope he's not watching, but it would be a bit silly to not join Chelsea, and for all the reasons you just listed, but also because we're champions of Europe. We're under a quality manager. Our squad, the type of players we have, the potential in that team, you fit right in. You're a proven Premier League striker around young talent that have already won the Champions League. They're already winners. They've already got that experience. Why wouldn't you want to come back? Why I don't get. And you're leaving a team that's it. You've achieved what you got to achieve at Inter Milan. You're not gonna win the Champions League there. Your favorite manager's left. You're now going to Inzaghi, with all due respect. Why wouldn't you join? Why would you not want to leave? And that's when it comes back to, will Chelsea sign? We have to. And I feel confident enough to, if we put the money on the table, they will sell. Talks about Haaland. Dortmund wouldn't sell two in one, Sancho and Haaland in one window. They may earn the difference of money by being in the Champions League. I'm sorry, mate. If you're this Champions League talk or no Champions League talk, you want to send them for 75 million or you want to send them for 150 million? It's as simple as that. And I do think they will sell if for Lukaku or Haaland, as long as we put the money on the table.
What are you saying, Josh?
Yeah, no, we definitely have to sign a striker. How likely it is that we're going to sign either Haaland or Lukaku? I'm not even too sure. I can't lie, I haven't really been checking too tough as well, but how likely? I don't know. Can you really do deals that quickly usually in the summer, like 100 million? Like it's usually like with Ronaldo back in the day, it happened like a year before, innit?
Yeah. It's Chelsea. It's Chelsea. Chelsea, like, I remember when, it's not 100 million, no, but I remember when, listen, Willian was on the medical table at Spurs. Deal was done, signed, sealed, delivered. And the next thing he's at Cobham signing a contract
from Mr. Roman.
Like,
we made the whole song about it.
Chelsea they can do business. They can, and I mean, you say quickly, what were we in? End of June? Still 2 months. The transfer window closed at the end of August. 2 months.
And news already coming out that apparently Haaland has agreed to personal terms. What
they're saying is that Haaland is willing to join Chelsea. So basically, they said, this is what I want. So if you can give me that, then I'll come. It's not a case of, let's say, for example, Arsenal said, Haaland, what's it going to take for you to come? Haaland's like, listen, I'm not coming. But even if you can give me 500,000 a week, I'm not coming. Whereas with Chelsea, it's like, well, this is what I want. If you can do that and obviously do a deal with Dortmund, I will come. So Chelsea will have no issues. No, I won't say no issues meeting the demand, but no issues in attracting Haaland because he's willing to come if his demands are met. Whether the deal gets
we'll have an issue meeting his demands.
No, I don't think you will. Whether the deal gets done or not, the question is really: are Chelsea willing to spend 150 million on Haaland this summer? That's the real question. Because if they are willing,
Dortmund if Kane and come on, Neeks, if Kane and Grealish go there, I'm sorry, we are not serious. I would be very critical of Roman and Marina if they allow City, our biggest challenges for next season, to go those type of players and spend the money. They're not just buying the two players; they're spending the big money. Right now, if they do buy them, that's 200 million on two players. Why not? They're spending the money. Why are you not going to spend the money? You just won the Champions League. You should be after the Champions League win. Apparently, Roman said he wants a third. All right, mate. Put the money where your mouth is.
Listen, I fully agree with you. I think if Man City do that deal, or those deals, shall I say, Kane and Grealish, it is imperative that Chelsea respond with Haaland or Lukaku. Haaland, if you can, but Lukaku is a very, very good alternative. And I think I think, he's not going to give you the same longevity of a Haaland, the same resale value because of his age. But if you're talking about challenging Man City in the the next couple of years, Lukaku will do that. I'm so certain about that. I think he will do that. So I think Chelsea would have to respond. If Man City don't do those deals, then Chelsea might think, let's wait out a summer and let's try and get him for half the price next year. But of course, everyone is going to be in the market for him next year.
That's the thing.
Would you choose at the 70 million?
That's the thing. Yeah.
And on that same note, so go on. Say what you're going to say.
Sorry. Just to flip it on his head, maybe if we are not capable of signing a Haaland or Lukaku, I said this earlier. Would it be the worst idea to maybe advance Havertz into the striker, false nine, whatever you want to call it, and then maybe bring in a Grealish in a 10 with Mason Mount. And then someone came out and said, well, where's the goals? I hear you 100%. But Havertz is still going to improve. Based on what we've seen this season in the Chelsea shirt, he's not a clinical striker, but he can improve. And with the amount of chances, Grealish and Mount, we've seen their numbers, how many chances they've created this season in their respective team. The amount of the chances they will create for Havertz, he's bound to put the goals away. And that's with Werner sitting on the bench. With Werner, mate, Werner doesn't score. You don't score 40 goals in a season for no reason. You're clearly a good finisher. Bundesliga or Premier League, irrelevant. You don't score 40 goals in one season for no reason. He's got it in him, and some don't like him in that position. But mate, if you put him up front and then someone that will create like Grealish, someone create with like Mount, I think that's an amazing alternative. Just in case we can't get Lukaku or Haaland. But other than that, no one else. Because I hear news of Gerard Moreno, Isaac. No. I would rather maybe hijack Sancho out of nowhere, maybe or a Grealish.
Listen. Let's get onto Jayden Sancho as we come in there at the end. We've got about 15 minutes left of this stream. Make sure you hit the like button. Ryan, we asking about tennis. Do you still think that Federer is the GOAT? I mean, Nadal's my GOAT, and he's on level with Federer in terms of championships. So I'm cool with Nadal being the GOAT until Djokovic passes Nadal. I don't want to hear it. He may pass him very soon, but he's not there yet. We could all die tomorrow. Manchester United. Now, I'm on the same train of thought as you. I'm going to get onto the big one in a second. But if Man City do this deal, that should trigger every other rival to go out and do something massive. Because if you don't, you're basically giving up before the season starts. Chelsea have to go and get that big striker. Liverpool have to make a marquee signing. You can't be doing these little small and thinking that's going to be enough. It's not going to be enough. It's not. You have to go out and do a marquee signing. Who that is, I don't know. That's up to you to decide. I don't know. But you got to do it. And Manchester United, Raphael Varane for me is the player. I would love to get him in anywhere. But if Man City make those signings and Chelsea then respond as well with their signings or signing that striker, we have to respond in getting a world-class proven winner centre-back from Real Madrid in Raphael Varane. And the price that we're hearing is 40-50 million. Now, this could all be a ruse for him to get a bigger contract at Real Madrid. We know Ramos has left. Alaba's joined, and maybe he's like, well, Alaba's on 400,000 a week. I want to be on 400,000 a week. I don't know. It could all be a ruse. But as long as the news is out there, where to me it's a possibility that we could sign him, then I'm all here for it. And I'm going to be pushing for it. Because if we get that centre-back, that world-class centre-back next to Maguire, I think our defence is sorted. Our defence is sorted. And for me, you get one more player in the midfield. This is providing we keep the likes of Pogba, the likes of Martial, with, of course, the main man, Jayden Sancho, who should have got last year. For me, we have a squad that's capable of challenging both in the Premier League and the Champions League. Now, whether we go and win it is another matter. Player performance comes into it. Manager, we got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer versus Tuchel and Pep and Klopp. There's levels to this. We've got to be honest. But the squad is in a position that you say, this is good enough to challenge. This is good enough to challenge. And if the manager is unable to get the best out of the players, like Lampard, for example, was with Chelsea, then you go and get a manager who is capable of getting the best out of the players once you have the players in the squad. I want it to Zidane regardless of what anyone else does, but it becomes imperative to an extent where you give him what he wants to get him across the line for something like 50 million. At the start of the stream, we spoke about Ben White, whether it's worth it to go Arsenal to sign him for 50 million. Ben White 50 and Raphael Varane 50. Listen, there's levels to this. There is levels to this. You have to take that deal. Now, before we get on to the other guy, Raphael Varane to Man United. There's Manchester United's in for him. There's Chelsea's in for him. and so are PSG. Can you see him actually leaving Real Madrid this summer, Ziad? And talk about Man United, do you think he's gonna end up at Man United?
It's an interesting one because there's a lot of aspects that come into place with maybe you're right, he wants to get that bigger contract, but also looking at his perspective, why would he want to come to a Premier League? Because he's changed his agent, hasn't he? To I'm not sure what they're called, but they are Premier League London based, so that's another positive. Do I see him joining Manchester United over Chelsea, over PSG? No. But what I do think, what is a positive factor for United is would Chelsea pay the money? I said I don't personally want him in terms of if it's 70 million, no. But if it's 40, 50, of course you can't turn that down for that kind of player, especially when you've seen Ben White go for 50 million. So yeah, with Manchester United, if they were to sign Varane, I said this on the Football Terrace earlier, it's a very, very, very big season for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Yeah. He has to win. He has to win, and there's no two ways about it. He has to win.
Well, listen, I already said, I had a little discussion on Twitter, and I already said, I think the question, someone put a question, if Solskjaer doesn't win a trophy next season, should he be sacked? And then I think Ladnum's Prime, he replied saying, it depends. There's context. So I asked him, like, in what context would it be acceptable for him not to win a trophy? And I think he said something about if we don't get the right signings or something like that. And I said, no, this squad as it is, it being his third year managing Man United, his squad is good enough to win a trophy, not the Premier League or Champions League, but it's good enough to win an FA Cup or a League Cup. So if you go a third year, regardless of who we sign in the summer, and don't win a trophy, just a trophy, give me anything, then that for me is on your management at that point. Now, not winning the Premier League is not on Solskjaer because our squad is not a Premier League winning team. Not winning the Champions League is not on Solskjaer because it's not a Champions League winning team. Not winning the Europa League, that's on Solskjaer because this is a Europa League potentially winning team in terms of quality. But I'm not going to sack him for not winning the Europa League. That was never an expectation at the beginning of the season. It's Premier League, Champions League, qualifying for top four, etc. But next season, as the question that 40 Agenda said, is this a do or die season for, as he says, Gollum, or still trust the process? It's both. I trust the process.
It can't be both. Come on, Neeks.
No. I'm talking about as it stands, it's I trust the process. But if the process fails, and for me, the third season, now that's the telling season. I agree, it is a do or die. So the third season is a part of that process. Third season, he has to win a trophy without a shadow of a doubt. 100%. Now, don't get me wrong. If we lose the Premier League by 1 point and we lose in the Champions League final, you're not going to sack him. You're not going to sack him. It's not going to happen. Yeah. But we've got to be realistic. Those things are very, very unlikely to happen. I mean, to be fair, Liverpool lost by 1 point, then won the Champions League. But those things are unlikely to happen. All things being equal, Solskjaer has to win a trophy next season, or then he has to go. But on top of that, what's more important and a part of the process is making sure, regardless of the manager, we have to have a squad that's capable of challenging for the Premier League and Champions League. And that means going out and getting a Varane, going out and getting a defensive midfielder, a backup right back, and of course, Jayden Sancho. You get those four, you get three, at least three. The backup right back is here nor there, but at least three of those players. For me, now you have to go out and challenge for both those major trophies. So that means going deep in the Champions League, going deep into the season in the Premier League, and winning a trophy. Third season, you have to have won a trophy at that point. Varane will help that a lot, and I would be so delighted. We actually tried to get him in when he was 19 before we moved to Real Madrid. Where did he come from? I want to say Saint Etienne, but I could be wrong. Was it Saint Etienne he came from? Rafael Varane. Let's see. Oh, Lens. He came from Lens in obviously in France. And I wanted him back then. He's 19 years old and obviously went to Real Madrid, which is expected. Real Madrid can do that. If we can get him now at what, 27, 28 years old, just turned 28, brilliant signing. Now, on top of that, Jayden Sancho. So, we've been hearing a lot of the news recently. Jayden Sancho. But today, there was a massive, massive breakthrough, it seemed. And the deal is all but done. For over a year, also for coming up to a year, I think it was about in August, end of August, Fabrizio tweeted saying, personal terms have been agreed between Manchester United and Jayden Sancho. What those personal terms are is anybody's guess, but there's been talks about 350,000 a week. There's been talks about 250 with bonuses and add-ons, raising it to 350, whatever you want to call it. He's going to be one of the higher paid players at Man United. We know David has on 350. I think, what's Pogba on? I think Pogba might be on 300 or 250 or 300. Rashford and Martial's on around 200. Bruno's actually on less than all of them. But he's going to be one of the higher paid players at Manchester United. Now, as it stands right now, Man United's first offer for Jayden Sancho was £67 million. That was this summer. Obviously, rejected. Man United came back and they were with a bid worth 73 million. Now, that was worth 73, including add-ons. So it will be 67 plus add-ons, raising it to 73. Borussia Dortmund said no. This week, they increased the offer to 77 million. So that's now 73 million guaranteed, plus 4 million on add-ons. Borussia Dortmund wanted 95 million euros, which is, if I do a quick exchange rate, 95.
82 million?
It could be, 1 second, 95 euros in pounds, that is 82 million pounds is what they wanted. But they're willing to lower that to the 77 if Man United give more up front. Now, of course, if we give too much up front, it eats into our cash reserves, which means we might not be able to sign other players that we want this summer. But 77 million as a deal for Jayden Sancho, considering they wanted 108 million pounds last summer, 120 million euros, I think that's a brilliant piece of business, both on the financial side and, of course, the player in terms of his qualities and abilities and what he can bring to Man United. The deal is pretty much done. How big of a signing is this for Manchester United?
Absolutely huge. And you said it yourself. It's a great piece of deal, especially because of the difference of what they wanted last year compared to this year. I think Dortmund have not only missed out on a quality player, but they've also lost this battle, this saga between Man United and Dortmund, because to go from 100 million to 90 million to 80 million to 70 million, 77 million, whatever it is, that's a big sum, and Dortmund have definitely lost that. And United, credit to United, because they've definitely got a good deal. Although you're paying him a lot of money, what is it, 250k a week with the option to go to 350? That is a lot of money, and that. But look, he's a quality player. I've always liked Sancho. I wanted him at Chelsea. I still want him at Chelsea if we can't get a striker. But I've always wanted him at Chelsea, regardless of paying of the striker. But there was just too much to sacrifice in that situation.
Well, this is it. There was talk about Chelsea possibly hijacking. We know that he's a Chelsea fan as a boy anyway. Maybe still a Chelsea fan now. But you've got a lot of wide players. You've got Ziyech, you've got Hudson-Odoi, Pulisic, Werner, if you want to class him more as a wider player than a striker. You've got a number of players in that position, some who are struggling to even get games, such as Hudson-Odoi. So you would have to definitely have offloaded some of those. And there was a fear from some Man United fans that the longer we talk, Chelsea may come in. But I always felt, even last year, when I was so angry we didn't get him because we just dragged it on. And a lot of Man United fans were saying, well, that's it, done. He's never going to come now. Next year, everyone has a free run at him. And so we had a free run at him last year. Now, next season, everyone can go. And I was like, well, you're saying this, but it's October? September at the time. So, yes, I think it was October. And We're still in lockdown. There's no fans in the ground. The people that ain't got money now, it's very unlikely they're gonna have money next year. So it's whoever's got the money to buy him now it's gonna be the same people who's got the money to buy him next season. So whether that be Man United, Man City, Chelsea. Now he was never gonna go back to Man City because that's where he came from in terms of through the academy and all the as a youth anyway. He came from Watford before that, but Man City he didn't want to go back there. He could have gone Chelsea, but we spoke about all the options that they've got in those positions. But he wanted to join Man United. He made it clear that Man United was a place he wanted to go. He wanted the agent to get the deal done last summer. They agreed terms, but of course we didn't agree a deal with Dortmund. So for me, I was always fairly confident that even if we missed out on him last summer, which we did, we can go again next year. My issue was I don't trust that we're going to go get the deal done. But it being just coming at the end of June, the transfer window's been open about 3 weeks, and this deal can be over with 2 months of the transfer window to spare. I think that would be brilliant. It'll be a bit of a feel-good factor. There was actually a question above that have you discussed the rumored Southgate extension? Then he said, if we get 2 or 3 starting signings, we need a trophy and finish within touching distance to the title. In terms of Southgate, I don't know. There was talk that he's safe regardless of what happens in the Euros, so he will be managing in the World Cup 2022. In terms of Ollie's extension, actually, I think they're waiting for the Sancho deal.
If Man United offer him a new deal, that would be...
No, they will. They will. And again, I don't even have an issue with a new deal, but for me, it will be a 1-year extension. He's got 1 year left. He's got 1 year left. Give him an extra year, so it's 2. So what you don't want, you go throughout the season. Every time there's a bad result, all we talk about is he renew a contract, renew contract. Give him another year, so there's a bit of security there. But don't give him a 3, 4, 5 year contract and then you sack him in December. Now that's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. So I don't have an issue with it, but I think they were waiting for the right moment because they mentioned it back in April or so when we got knocked out of the FA Cup and there was a big uproar. And I thought, all right, they're going to wait till if we win the Europa League, when there's a feel-good factor, they'll announce it then. Of course, we lost the Europa League. So now I think they're looking for the right moment to announce it. And I think if we get the likes of a Sancho in, of a Varane in, at that moment, you can just slip in a new contract and there'll be a bit of noise, but no one's really going to care. Because the reality is, contracts aren't even worth the paper they're written on. They're going to get sacked anyway. They're going to get sacked if they're failing. So I don't have a big issue with it.
Tuchel said the same thing. He said, when I got offered the 18-month contract only, he was like, wait, hold on. Why are they only giving me this? They don't believe in me. But then he said, 2 years or 5 years. If they want me, if they like me, they'll keep me. If not, I will leave.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. It's simple as that. He said it perfectly.
It's a fact. The message comment here again says, Man United signing Sancho is a big win. Agreed. But what are they going to do with Van der Beek? Well, the Van der Beek one is, again, I'm sorry, the Sancho signing doesn't relate to Van der Beek at all. The midfield signings, if we had to get one, that would affect Van der Beek. Now, there was a comment above as well, talking about Martial possibly going to Spurs. There's been talk about Van der Beek possibly leaving. I think it was even linked to Arsenal at one point. That was never going to happen. But Van der Beek, I don't think he's going anywhere this summer. But I think it could potentially be his last year at Man United. If for whatever reason he can't force his way into the side, whether that because the manager ain't good enough to find a way to play him, or he just not good enough to fit into the way we want to play, I think it could be his last year. Pogba and Pogba's future, I think, has a massive bearing on Van der Beek. If Pogba signs a new contract, I think Van der Beek's gone at the end of next year. If Pogba leaves, I think you can find a way to get Van der Beek in this club. But yeah, listen, a lot of transfers, a lot of transfer news, rumors. There's going to be more. We'll do another recap when we got another break between the Euros. And of course, after the Euros done, it's full steam ahead, pre-season, transfer news. We're going to be doing all of that before the season starts. On a scale of 1 to 10, Ziad, how good do you think Chelsea's transfer window will be come the end of it? Prediction on a scale of 1 to 10.
Oh, that's a really difficult one. If we get Haaland, it's a 9. It's a 9 straight away. It's instantly a 9. But even if Lukaku, it's an 8. But if I'm gonna have faith in Roman Abramovich, I'm gonna have faith in Marino Granovskaya. I'm gonna go with a 8.5 out of 10, and that is me putting the belief in them, belief in the board that we will put the money on the table for Lukaku, or we will put the money in for Haaland. And then there's also rumors of Varane. Also, there's also rumors of Tushameli. I'm not sure if you're familiar with a youngster in Monaco, maybe Declan Rice. A lot of Chelsea fans are not keen on him, which is a surprise, really. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a solid 8.5. But that is me putting a lot of trust into the Chelsea board.
Fair enough, and I think Chelsea fans have, for me, I would say they have decent reason to trust their board. Generally, they do go out and get players. Some of them fail. Don't get me wrong, the back of Yoko, for example, Costas, but it doesn't thwart them. They go again. They're all right. That one didn't work. Sell him. Go again. So I think that's a fair enough assessment. I have no reason to trust the board. However, I have an inkling. I just have an inkling. Like you said about Kane and Lukaku, if City do what they do, you have to go out and sign those players. We have to have a good transfer window. We actually cannot have a bad one. If we have a bad transfer window, well, you just sack Oli before the season starts. We're done. Yeah. We have to have a good transfer window. And as I said, that is at least 3 players. Centre-back, defensive midfielder, Jayden Sancho, as a minimum. If we get Jayden Sancho, for me, I'm giving that at that point a 6 out of 10, because we should have got him last year. He's a great signing, but if that's the only thing we get, 6 out of 10 at best. If we get Varane with that, I'm giving it a 7.5 out of 10. If we keep Pogba and get a defensive midfielder, that's a 9 out of 10. So potentially we're gonna have a 9 out of 10 transfer window. But Glaze attacks, knock one off. I'll predict 8 out of 10. I think we have an 8 out of 10 transfer window. And I would say, well, what would that mean for the season? That would mean, top 4 should be as a guarantee, a trophy, and a Champions League quarterfinal. If we have an 8 out of 10, if we get a 9 out of 10, then you got to challenge. You got to go deep. You got to go semi-finals, finals, Champions League, and top 2 in the Premier League. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. But with Manchester United,
I feel like this season is going to be for the top clubs at least. It's going to be a lot based off like kind of domino effect. So we've spoken about if City signing big players, Chelsea are going to have to. United are going to have to. Liverpool are going to have to. Otherwise, they just fall way back. They will just fall behind too much to be able to compete. And it's gonna be a very interesting season. And it may all rely on City, because they look like right now they look the most serious. And that's what's a bit. I know I predicted the 8 out of 10, and I could trust my board, but we are known for really lacking after we win something. We've seen it when we won the Premier League under Conte. Next season, terrible. We saw it with Sarri. We won the Europa League. He left. Shit hit the fan for some reason. We do with Mourinho, won the league. Next season, get sacked. We do tend to really, for some reason, everything just goes to left after we win a major trophy. And I'm hoping and praying this is the season that this doesn't happen, and that may rely on what the City do, because if they buy big, we have to buy big. So we have to wait and see. But it's going to be very interesting transfer window.
Last comment here from Jason Noor says, would you take Sounders to Man United as a DM? I would take it. There's a few options for that position. I think he's more of a box to box than a DM anyway. But he has got the mobility to get around and get into tackles, etc. The likes of him, Basuma, Ndidi, Rice, those are the kind of players that I would say that. I mean, Ndidi's probably a hard one to get anyway because Leicester charge a lot. But if we keep Pogba, that's the kind of level of defensive midfielder or in the double pivot, whatever you want to call it, that I would like to get. If we lose Pogba, as I said on the terrace earlier, we have to get someone world class. We have to go out and get a Verratti. That's the only way that you can, and again, Pogba's on another level anyway, but that's the only way you can mitigate the loss of such a quality player. You go and get a world class player in Verratti, and then obviously Van der Beek comes to the fore. And you got Jayden, Sancho, etc., etc. So the Pogba deal would have a big say on how well our transfer window is. If he signs a new contract, that is massive. That's massive for us. But guys, listen, thank you very, very much for joining me. Of course, Ziad, thanks for
Thanks so much for having me
on the panel. Josh as well, as you were here. Make sure you hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn the bell notification on as well so you know every time we go live. I won't be live tomorrow, but I will be live on Sunday with the watch along for Portugal versus Belgium. Massive, massive game. Come on, Cristiano. And then, of course, live on Tuesday again with the England versus Germany watch along as well. Smash the like button. Have a good night, and I'll see you lot soon.